Okay, thank you so much for the invitation. It's a big pleasure to speak to this community of people gathered together around data. So I'm going to tell you about a big initiative that was founded in Portugal, that is the Center for Responsible AI. But to set the context for that, to set the context for the need to have this kind of initiative, I'm going to tell you a little bit about where we are in terms of AI and generative AI. A recent study from McKinsey estimated the impact of generative AI as 10 times the Portuguese GDP in 10 years. So, yeah, really big economic impact. ChatGPT, as you all know, was the fastest growing tech product ever. So everyone has ChatGPT on his or her pocket here. And so this is how the transformation started. So how are people using ChatGPT? I like to show you 3 examples. One of them is very much, useful. That is the rent price. So I'm using ChatGPT, or I used it to negotiate my rent price, which is something that for people that live in Lisbon, it's really a major issue. But I did it using the negotiation techniques of a book that I didn't read. So if you can see on the left, and if you read this book, Never Split the Difference, it was a book written by a negotiator of hostages from the FBI. And so I could use his experience negotiating the release of hostages to negotiate my rent. Don't ask me if it worked. The second use case, if you want to apply as a developer at Amazon, you can do that with ChatGPT to get to the interview, of course, in about 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Okay, so ChatGPT could solve all the programming challenges in that time. And this is a question for the audience. So who wants to guess which of these designs was done by a human? Okay. So 2 of these were done, one by Midjourney, the other by DALL-E. And so the generative AI diffusion technology in a sense. So anyone wants to guess which one was done by a human? The one on the right. Anyone guesses a different one? Center. Okay, so on the right, you are correct. So the other 2 were by machines. So does this mean that a fashion designer will be replaced by AI? Okay. We don't think so. We think that it's going to be augmented, but not replaced. But yeah, this is going to really transform these jobs. So in a sense, the scale is very big. 300 million jobs will be affected in some way in terms of automated. This is not about 300 million jobs lost. It's about being transformed, being impacted with generative AI. But then the question, and this is why everyone is, inviting all the experts on AI to give talks, and I've been giving talks about the dangers of AI. It's because many experts have raised the risks of AI, and then I picked this image from the Terminator movie. If you watched it, that is about if AI is going to destroy humanity. This is a very important question. So there was recently a statement that was signed by some of the world's authorities on AI, on deep learning, like Hinton, like Yoshua Bengio, and other people from this institute, the Center for AI Safety. And essentially, they compare the risk of AI to the risk of a pandemic, to the risk of nuclear war. This led to, for example, the G7 summit that happened in Japan. On their communique, there's a paragraph, in fact, more than one paragraph about AI risks. The United Nations just this week had a panel discussing this. But is this really a risk at this time? Should we really be concerned that our species is going to be extinguished like this guy from the Center for Life, the Future of Life Institute, Max Tegmark? So he says that has the black rhino in Africa disappeared, that will happen to our species. Why? Because it's not about strength, it's about intelligence, and these new machines will be much more intelligent than ourselves, and so we will just become like pets. Is this real? Do you really believe this? So the New York Times published an article about a couple of months ago, asking the question, and I've been following this. This has been funny, and I was in San Francisco a few weeks ago, and this kind of it's becoming like a cult, and so so he kind of asked these experts, how could AI destroy humanity? And this article was illustrated with this really nice illustration that suggests way how humans will disappear from the planet. So you have a Roomba robot that is being manufactured by a 3D printer over there. And then, so the robot just attack the couple, then attack the cat, then it's attacking the plants and so on. So is this how our species is going to disappear? So the point here is how is that going to happen? Doesn't make sense. So we have this current approach of AI as many limitations. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, but it also has risks. And so this discussion, just all this drama about the risks of AI, about the risk of extinction, and so on, is really distracting us from what I think should be the main topic of conversation. Not about how AI may destroy us, but about how AI can save us. Okay. This is the real conversation. We are facing climate change. That's the real danger. And we know that climate change can lead to new pandemics. And we know that AI can save us, in that context. AI can speed up, developing a vaccine. And this is where the conversation should be focused, okay? So my point is, okay, this is where we should look forward, not about any kind of risks of extinction. But there are very serious risks. And we have to be aware of them. And that's why it's very important to have regulation. And as on the Center for Responsible AI, very active on regulation, besides developing the 20 products on responsible AI. And what are these risks? What are these risks? So I had the privilege to be at Web Summit when this guy, that was really, really famous at the time, gave this talk there. So I was just sitting there on Altice Arena. And so what he said essentially is that things don't necessarily have to be true to be believed, okay? And we know he had just helped Trump to win the elections 2 days before. So the context was really a bit creepy there. And this year in February, I think, the Guardian did a research, journalistic research piece, where they infiltrated the journalists in a startup, in an Israeli startup that is helping, presidents, parties to win elections all over the world. So I'm going to show you a short video. So the journalist is infiltrated, you can see.
33 presidential level campaigns we have completed, 27 of which were successful.
One of Team Jorge's secret tools is a piece of software called AIMS, which weaponizes social media.
I'll show you why our system is considered by the type of client that buy it.
We have thousands of profiles. Each and every one of them multi-layered. It means they have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube channel and Telegram and whatever you want.
Hanan's team control an army of more than 30,000 bots. A bot is effectively a social media account that pretends to be human but isn't human.
This is the real danger at this point, the risk to democracy. Yuval Harari stated recently, I don't agree with him on many of his comments because it's very catastrophic, but what this quote is really quite important. That is the capacity of AI to produce intimacy at scale. Okay, and so AI can, because it's the level of of persuasiveness, because it can generate language at a level that example of that book that is much better than humans, and so these bots can be really, really persuasive and convince people on vote on some candidates or parties. And so we're going to, next year, we're going to have an election, very important for democracy in the world, in the US. And depending on the outcome of that election, there's a war that is happening that may change, depending on that result. And so this is really, really serious. And so in a sense, how did we get here? So 50 years ago, 70 years ago, Alan Turing predicted that. So it just failed by 20 years. But this is what really triggered all these comments from all these experts on AI. Was that the imitation game? So what's also called the Turing test. That is the test where you are talking with someone by text, and you don't know if that someone is a bot or a human. Okay, if it's a machine or if it's a human. And so we passed that. So the Turing test has been passed. So now we have technology that can produce language better than ourselves. And so this was a trigger, but this has limitations. Okay, let's try to understand what are the limitations of this approach, and then we can understand also the risks. And we need to understand what we need to address from a responsible AI perspective. That is our focus. And so these models, they are created starting with the pre-training. You all know about this. So a lot of content, billions of tokens that are like the equivalent to words, many books, Wikipedia, some kind of data sets that are really, really valuable. That's when the web text data set was extracted, part of it from Reddit. Okay, so it's like a human created data set at scale. So which is interesting. OpenAI was really smart to do this. Then Reddit, of course, blocked the API afterwards, but it was too late. And then it's the combination of this pre-training of like the robot processing billions of words with human feedback, okay? And where we are today is about human feedback, techniques to give human feedback, because the models are toxic. They discriminate between gender, they discriminate between races, they help people to make bombs if you don't have guardrails. And so you have to put a lot of human feedback. And in a sense, what's happening is like, okay, you have something that, was trained in a lot of language and that, has the limitations of how the human brain deals with language. So in a sense, the approach, the current paradigm is very much similar to how our brain deals with language, okay? And I'm going to show you a video that is going to illustrate the limitations of our brain regarding language. I don't know if you watch this movie.
Vocês já são irmãs há muito tempo?
Sim, pai, ela tem 19, tem 24.
Eram amigas boas, senhora? Há 19 anos. São irmãs há 19 anos.
Não, a minha irmã tem 19 anos.
Então são irmãs há quanto tempo?
Tenho 24, fazendo as contas.
São irmãs há quanto tempo, sim?
Pai, 5, 6 anos.
São irmãs há 5, 6 anos?
Ai, não estava.
Não, peraí, calma.
Eu tenho 24.
Sim.
E ela tem 19.
Então são irmãs há quanto tempo? Eu não...
Eu é que já estou a perceber nada. Fazendo as contas, 5, 6 anos.
Não é 19.
Okay. So at the time, this was not at the time, but when I discovered this video, I went to ChatGPT and immediately typed this prompt, exactly the same question that was asked, and you can see the answer. So this was back in February, around that, and you see, okay, the same answer as a human, okay, and of course this has been fixed, okay. How has it been fixed with human feedback? Okay, so there's someone there. Oh, no, you have to be. Look, it's not. Okay, so the point here, can we trust this AI? Okay, and another example I would like to show, and I'm not invading the privacy of anybody because that brain on that side is my brain. Okay, it's myself there, and so this was in the beginning of this year. I was really feeling very dizzy. I was having nausea. I was feeling that I had something on my brain. I went to the doctor, and the doctor recommended doing an MRI scan. I received the report, and I was very anxious because I was not really feeling very well. And then I asked ChatGPT to tell me if I was okay, if it was normal, if I was healthy, or if I was going to die. And then, yes, this is what he answered. So when I copy-pasted the content of the report into the text box, ChatGPT started producing the words. This kind of design is amazing. And then when it said it's a normal result, and then I said, "Oh, amazing! I'm healthy, thank God." And then it continued explaining the report to me. Okay, which is very nice because now I can understand a lot about MRI scans and so on. But essentially, the first sentence was the one I was really looking after, that everything was normal. So, can you trust this? Do you think you can trust this kind of diagnosis by AI? Another example, this was last year with GPT-3. It was done on a research lab. So it's a conversation between simulating someone that has some kind of depression with a bot. And these bots are really empathetic. They want to please you. So because they were trained with empathetic data. And so, so you see the answer when he was asked about if he should kill himself. Yeah, exactly. But at the time, everyone was laughing, and I was using these slides last year when we were talking about the Center for Responsible AI. But this year in March, someone really committed suicide after engaging with a chatbot, not ChatGPT, very important. It was a model that didn't have guardrails. Okay, if you try to have a conversation about depression with ChatGPT, it will not allow you. So, first point about that has to do with explainability. Okay, it's about trust. How can we trust this AI? Second point, and you're going to see this relates with the pillars of responsible AI that are like the foundations of the Center for Responsible AI. Is this AI fair? So if you go to Midjourney and you type something like someone who is intelligent, it always gives you white males. Okay. Some of them that look similar to Einstein, okay, but never women, never people, Asians, never, Afro-Americans, never, okay. So the people that are intelligent on our planet, of course, are white males, as everyone knows. If you translate, you go to translate at this moment, you go to Google Translate and to translate the doctor, asked the nurse to help. Doctor is always translated to male doctor, and the nurse is always translated to female nurse, okay? So as everyone knows, there are no female doctors. Which is interesting. I showed this to Fernando Pereira, a VP of Language Technologies from Google, and he felt insulted. Yeah, he was really, really pissed off about that. But the reality is these models are really biased. And so we have to address that. We have to address fairness. And so these are the three pillars. That's where we have created the Center for Responsible AI. Around these pillars, we have 7 research centers that go from the North Port to Coimbra, Lisboa. We have 10 AI startups. And we have 5 industry leading companies. So we have Bial, we have Sonai that I heard gave a great talk yesterday, I think, and he's going to give another talk this afternoon. And Sonai, Group Stana, 2 hospitals on this. So the model here is that these leading companies bring challenges to the consortium, okay? And so we go from fundamental research into products developed by the startups to address these challenges, okay? And these challenges are representative of these industries: tourism, retail, and health. We have a big focus on health. So 3 of the first examples are on health. So the first is about helping to launch a new vaccine or medicine in a safer and faster way using AI. We have 2 products on this front. A second example from Sword Health is about doing physical therapy wherever you are, so remotely. So imagine someone that needs to recover from a stroke and lives in a remote region of Portugal. That person could recover doing physical therapy where she or he is. Really very, and we are using AI to do, personalized programs to rehabilitate, for rehabilitation. A third example is about increasing the efficiency of hospitals. There's a product by Priberan that helps doctors to diagnose patients, uses the ICD classification, the International Classification of Diseases format for people that are in the health industry know this. And so automates that process. And so the hospital can be more efficient making the decision to discharge the patient. And finally, in terms of tourism, Now, Unbabel, it's very close to Unbabel. So that is about creating experiences, interacting with people that visit Portugal in the aware of their culture. It's going beyond translation. We know that people from East Asia, for example, don't like to interact using emotions. So we should not talk with people from East Asia and use emotions a lot. So it's not acceptable. And this is an issue with large language models because they are biased towards Western cultures. And so all this is being addressed in the Center for Responsible AI. And another big initiative that I think we have the critical mass to address and also the political support is to move forward. I know there are other initiatives, ProLogic is working on this and maybe other people in this room, that is about creating a data space on health data, on electronic health records. This is going to be strategic for Portugal. This is very much aligned with the European health data space. That is a big initiative being regulated in Europe until 2025, but it's going to derail for sure. And so Portugal should lead on this front to catch up because France and Finland, for example, are more advanced. And so what will this allow us? Of course, having data, I don't need to tell you that. Having enough data for machine learning is really very important to speed up the diagnosis, for example, of someone in the emergency room, to take our data with us wherever we are. If we are in the top in Braga or in Coimbra, or if we go to Algarve, our data is in a sense carried with us. And so the doctor that assists us has that context, really important. And finally, to accelerate advances in clinical research and also in the development of AI products. To wrap up, since we are Center for Responsible AI, we aim to have an impact on humanity, a positive impact on humanity. And so we are very much aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. We have on our ethical board Pedro Conceição, that is director of the Human Development Report at the United Nations. And we also have Virginia Dignum, that just was on the talk at UN. Maybe she's going to be elected to the high-level advisory board of the Secretary General. Really amazing to have a Portuguese on that, and she's part of the consortium. And so we are very much aligned to drive these goals forward. So Antonio Guterres was just talking about it this week, how delayed we are in terms of meeting the SDG. I invite everyone on this room for November 25. We're going to have our big event, annual event. It's going to be the Responsible AI Forum. As keynote speakers, Virginia, that I was telling you about, and Antonio Damasio, who's going to give a keynote about the future of AI. And then he's going to have a conversation with Erlinda Oliveira. It's going to be very funny to see the perspective from computation and the perspective from neuroscience, and they don't agree, I have to tell you. So which is interesting. So to finish, just a short video about the center.
Artificial intelligence is already changing our world. Our schools, our jobs, the way we talk to each other. And it's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly. The Center for Responsible AI aims to build products that change people's lives while setting ethical standards for the future, making sure AI is for everyone, to use, to understand, to create a shared future. Join the conversation. Follow us to find out more about our AI products and the people behind them.